One of my online friends knew that I was always on the lookout for old black and white TV picture tubes, so he contacted me and said he just happened to have one lying around that wasn't doing him any good. And he showed me a photo, and I immediately realized it was 10pp4. Now, he didn't have a CRT tester, but I believe he did check the film, and it did have continuity. So he packed it up for me and sent it to me, and here it is. I just went over to the post office and picked it up. From the feel of the box, I don't think it broke in shipping, so I'm going to pop it open and test it. The idea being, if it's good, I will, I think, put it in this guy, which is the RCA 721TS I picked up recently. If you recall, the picture tube in this tested dead, and I recently got a reproduction back for it. That's what you see here. Now, I have not pulled out this chassis. I haven't really taken a closer look at this set at all, so I think this would also be an interesting, or a good time to pull the chassis out. Now, there's also a remote possibility that this CRT could be salvageable, because I did not pull it out and closely examine it. I might be able to just touch up the pins, the filament pins, with a soldering iron, and perhaps there's just the connection inside broke. Don't know. I've been successful with that once or twice, but you know, I'm not going to hold out too much hope for that. And I also just happened to find another little surprise for this set. There was something missing from the front of it, and I think I just may have found a replacement for it. By the way, as is so often the case in Chicago, we've had a very truncated spring this year, it would seem. I recently showed you a video where it was all dreary and raining. Well, now it's pushing 90 and bright and sunny, and the grass is a foot high out there. Now, as for the picture tube, these things do come in, or rather, these are an awkward size, so typically you have to get creative with shipping them. This appears to be no exception. That's cool. I'm sure I can find a way to reuse these shipping boxes. So I don't get a bonus Afghan with this one like I did recently, as you can see over here. But I do think it survived all right. Bonus connector too. Well, if appearances are anything to go by, this is in mighty fine condition. Most of the original Aquadag conductive coatings in place. Getter looks really strong and silvery. Far different from that 12 LP4 I tested recently. Base is a little loose, but that's hardly uncommon. The electron gun doesn't look fried. They can get discolored over time. Don't see any evidence of a rebuild. In fact, I'm sure it's not, 'cause it's still got the RCA base on it. If it had been rebuilt, there would be a noticeable weld, like a little waviness in the neck somewhere. Alright, so I will get out the tester and see how it goes. Sorry about the background noise, but I had to put a fan on. I'm starting to roast in here. I don't have the air conditioners installed yet. So I got that set up for a 10BP4, and what I'm going to do, make sure the filament's glowing, and oh yeah, it kicked in right away. I've only got it on 5 volts, so put it to 6.3. Yeah, glowing. Shorts. Nothing. Oh, no, there goes the cutoff. Alright, that's a very good sign. Cutoff shoots up that good, that quick, and it's so responsive. You know, sometimes they let these things sit for an hour or two to wake up, so to speak. Oh yeah, I think we got a winner. Yeah, I'll definitely be happy to put this in that 721. Now, that's assuming the 721 is restorable. As I said, I have not pulled out the chassis. For all I know, the power transformer's fried in it or something else horrifically bad. That's why I want to pull it out. Other reason I want to pull it out is I want to put this CRT in there, and if the other one truly is dead, I want to get rid of it. In fact, I need to get rid of a bunch of stuff because I want to save some space. It's either that or get another storage locker, which I would rather not spend the money on, at least not long term. So, what I'm going to do is go through my stuff and take some photos and probably put together a list to put it on the video camera classifieds, and I'll maybe mention it on YouTube too. I'm going to be getting rid of some test equipment, some TVs, and some radios. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the stuff I really don't want to ship. Maybe some tube testers or some smaller test equipment I can ship. Maybe one or two small radios, but I want to get rid of some larger console TVs and console radios. And I'd like to do local pickup only, which means you get a huge discount if you can make it over to Chicago. Now, as for a life test, yeah, that is a good picture tube. Alright. This is easily one of the heaviest tabletop sets I've encountered so far. This wood is quite thick. Full 3/4 on the base, I'd say. Probably about 3/8 on the side, plus numerous pieces of solid wood bracing. You can also see why I've had trouble picking it up. I was having trouble getting my fingers underneath, and it seemed like it was worse towards the front, and I can see now that the feet are fairly mashed down from the weight of this set over the years. A few chips here and there. I don't know, I might be able to reflow or salvage this somehow. Looks like, oh, I was going to say there aren't any decals, but there they are. They're at a bit of an angle, kind of hard to see in this bright light. I don't know. Fine, I'm going to refinish it. That's well down the road from now. All I want to do today is pull the chassis out. So I got some massive bolts under there. I'm going to try to carefully loosen these up and slide it out while it's on its side. I've already pulled the knobs off the front, so I think all that's holding it in are these bolts on the bottom. Looks like there's one missing here. So that leaves 4 remaining I need to take out. This would be a servicing access plate, I imagine. I'm not quite sure why they would make one just the size. I don't know what critical components you get at here. Chassis extends a bit further down around that mesh, but maybe there was something important you could get at right there. I guess we'll find out. I just removed the plate so I can finally get a peek inside. So sure, you can get at some components, but certainly not everything. From what I can see, certainly has not been restored anytime recently. Maybe a few old caps replaced ages ago. They appear to be Aerovox, which is what I think I noticed in my RCA 630 TSs too, which are original. Okay, that's a replacement. That's Sprague right there. You can see the curly cues on the end. I just came very close to making a tragic mistake. I'm sure any of you out there watching this who have an RCA 721 that have worked on it know what that mistake was. You cannot pull the chassis back out of the cabinet. If you do, the CRT falls down and the neck snaps off and goes boom. There is nothing supporting the front of the CRT except a couple little metal shims attached to the front of the cabinet. What you need to do is to take off the front of the cabinet, which wasn't at all obvious to me, so I went and looked in the service info. It turns out there are 2 screws underneath the cabinet, which I just took out, and then you have to reach inside, and there are some wing nuts you take off on either side, and then you can see that metal support to the upper left there and upper right. That's what holds the CRT in place, and there's one more on the bottom on either side. So the idea is to take those wing nuts off and the whole front of the cabinet comes off, and you pull the CRT out of the front. Then you can pull the chassis out of the back. Or maybe it actually came off fairly easily. You don't have to take the wing nuts all the way off. You just loosen them up a bit, and then you rotate these spring-loaded metal plates and line up the wing nut like that. And then the front just pulls right off. So what do we have left now on the front? Yep, there is the CRT and the speaker, and looks like a caution notice. There originally would have been padding on these supports, which of course is totally gone. That's why the thing's so loose and flopping around. So I'm going to take off the ion trap. I already took off the socket. Early type ion trap, or it's electromagnets rather than permanent magnets. And then the neck is loose enough that I think I can just pull this right out the front through the focus coil and yoke, no problem. So in the end, it turns out that I did not need to pull the chassis out at all to replace the picture tube. And, well, now that I loosen it up, I guess I will pull it up for a quick look. But I'm not going to put it up on the workbench right now. I want to get back to other projects. I really just wanted to check out the picture tube. Now we can get a nice look inside. Somewhat similar to the RCA 630 TS I've started poking around with. And very similar to the RCA 621 TS that I'll be working on at some point in the future. There's the warning. It's dangerous to service the picture tube. Reserve such servicing to your RCA Victor dealer. Speaker looks to be in decent condition. And as for the CRT, I noticed there's a label on it. This is actually a replacement. It's a little hard to make out the date. It looks like a 4 to me. Like 48 or 49. It's a 1947 model year set. That's where the 7 comes from, and the 721 TS, that's for 1947. So 3-3, which is my birthday, coincidentally. This picture tube was replaced. 10 BP4. Kind of grungy looking. There's the getter, which didn't get off some of the crud here. Oh boy, that sure looks good to me. So now I'm even more curious about that filament. You can see the solder cups here on the end of the CRT pins. That one looks a little dubious. Base is not loose though. So this I will get up on the workbench and take a closer look at it. This is so aggravating. The getter is nice, clean, and shiny. I can see the filament leads coming down inside the neck, but there is no conductivity, no continuity between those two. Tried touching these up. Tried shoving the ohmmeter probes down in there. Definitely make good contact with the wires coming up from the neck. Just nothing. This is one occasion when I wish the base was loose so I could kind of crack it off and maybe pry it up and make sure that there isn't a break somewhere inside, but it's on there really solid. I'm afraid of breaking the glass. So I don't know. I know you guys are always encouraging me to hang on to these CRTs in case they can be rebuilt someday, but that just seems like it's getting more and more remote all the time. There's nobody left, pretty much in the world, that rebuilds CRTs. There's one place left in France, but they're just doing some real specialty stuff for now. And these are just about the most common post-war black and white picture tube. Perhaps it is the most common post-war black and white picture tube. So nobody's going to invest a whole lot of time, money, and effort into rebuilding these. So part of the problem is not just the equipment. It's these new electron gun assemblies. Nobody makes them anymore. When they would rebuild picture tubes, they didn't rebuild the stuff inside. They just cut the neck off, put a new gun assembly neck and base onto it, and welded it back and then sucked the air out. Since you can't get these anymore, the only real option, if you were to really go all out, is to replace just the cathode or recoat the cathode. And again, unless it's something really exotic, it's just not worth the time and effort and money. So I don't know. Maybe I'll hang on to it for a little while, but eventually this and a few others I got, like the one I just took out of my 21-inch GE set, they're just going to have to get smashed and tossed. Now here's a look at the chassis. It's kind of funny to me to look at this because it's like a sort of scaled down, chopped off version of the 630 TS. High voltage cage looks to be about identical size, as does the housing for the voltage dividing power resistors. Yokes and focus coil at the same size. But the 630 TS, it's more spread out to the sides, and then it kind of has wings that come up on either side with more tubes and parts. This just, to me, looks kind of like it's missing something. And actually, I think it is. I think it's missing a tube down there. Otherwise, the top looks to be in decent shape. Wires are a bit crusty though, and I noticed that the focus coil is kind of falling apart. It's just time and heat and whatnot have deteriorated it. This would have gone to the antenna connector, which would have been up here. A couple screw terminals. Must have gotten clipped off. Who knows why? Still has a power cord though, which looks to be okay. Still has some pliability left. Alright, flip this on its side. Transformers on that side, so it's much heavier there. Oh, and by the way, the power transformer is a lot smaller. Just noticed. 630 TS, geez, it comes up to like here. It's like twice the size. Oh, on the other hand, on the 630 TS, the transformer doesn't stick down so far, so maybe they are actually about the same size. You factor that in. It looks to be all there. As we saw through the screen, it doesn't look like a whole lot of work's ever been done to it. A little bit of oozing and discoloration here and there. Nothing's popped. Alright, since I've gotten this far, I guess I will put this up on the workbench and pop out the rectifier and power it up just to do a quick test of this power transformer. Here's the chassis up on the workbench. I went ahead and popped the high voltage cage cover off and the dropper resistor cover off, and they should look familiar to you if you watched my videos a few months back on the 630 TS, because it's pretty much the same. One difference though is that I measured these resistors and they all seem to be okay. This might even be a replacement, I'm not sure, because it looks a little bit newer than I've seen in some other sets of this vintage. Hard to say. And high voltage cage, it looks the same. Pretty much. 630 TS is a little bit different. I think there was an octal tube inside here, and there was a little 6AL5 down in here. Basically, this is just a simplified version of the 630 TS. So the 630 TS, 30 means 30 tubes. 721 TS, the 21 means 21 tubes. So this has 9 less tubes in it. So cut a few corners here and there, a few less IF stages, a little bit less robust with the sync circuits and so on. Alright, so I've got this hooked up to power through a 150 watt bulb, pulled out the rectifier tube, stuck my meter probes on the plates. So when I turn this on, ideally the tubes light up and we get, I don't know, 800 volts or so on this. My meter's probably going to complain a little bit, but that's alright. It'll survive. So here goes. Less than I thought. But still, 600 and closing in on 700. That's plenty of juice. bulb lit up and dimmed down, and I can see the tubes are lighting up. So I would say I have got a good power transformer. Awesome. So I'd say this. Now that I have a good picture tube, this set is definitely restorable. But not right now, because right now I want to finish off my GE set. It just occurred to me my meter reading is probably low because of that light bulb that's in series, so I just took it out now that I know this set doesn't have a dead short in it. And let's try that again. There's my unhappy meter because I'm over 800 volts AC. That's more like I was expecting. And the tubes are lighting up a little bit lighter now since there isn't that restricting light bulb in series. If you go back and watch the video when I got this set, you'll see that I was quite happy to get a complete set of knobs, including the rather hard to find channel knob, but I was not happy to find that the channel plate was missing. It's a piece of plastic that has the channel numbers on it, and whatever the selected channel is shows through that notch. Well, if you go back and watch one of my older unboxing videos where I got a box of knobs that I paid more than I wanted to for, just for, I believe it was a knob or two for a Westinghouse H196. I was speculating that one of the reasons the bidding might have gone high on that was because there was an RCA channel plate in it. And I was thinking that I would just take out the knob or two that I needed out of that lot and put it right back up on eBay and sell it. Well, I'm very glad I didn't, because that channel plate is exactly what I need for this set. Let's see, it's got channel 1 on it. So this sits inside that, just like so. So, between this, the reproduction back, the new CRT, I think I've got everything I need to restore this set. And finally, here it is all back together, awaiting restoration. I think it looks a lot better with that channel plate on there, and I also took some time and cleaned up the knobs. I hope you enjoyed this look at an RCA 721TS from 1947.